How's it going, everybody? CJ here, back with another video. We're doing another first thoughts today. This first thought is on Piru the Volatile. Before we hop into that though, remember, description down below, we've got the TCG player affiliate link, the Patreon, and the personal store if you want to support the channel on any of those routes. We've got a Twitch, Twitter, Discord if you want to chat with us, and the TikTok. Also, the first thing in that link is my giveaway. We got a giveaway going on right now where you can get these Commander staples that are all signed by me, along with this signed Elder Dingus Highlander playmat. So check that out if you want a chance to win this. And also don't forget to like this video, comment down below what you're doing to Piru, if there's any cool cards that I didn't mention, and just any cool stuff that you want to talk about that involves this card. I'm always free to talk, so comment down below. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And we're going to hop into this. So, Piru the Volatile. So, first off, I'm going to do the little summary. We've got Legendary Tribal as the first category. The next category is Tokens. Then Reanimation. Life Gain Synergies. A bunch of one-off cards. And then the Meme Deck and the In the 99. So, there's a lot to talk about this card. When I first looked at this, I was like, this card seems fine. I'll save it to do later because it doesn't seem super crazy cool in Commander. And when I started doing this video, I just started going nuts. Like, this card is crazy. It's super good. I end up doing, usually I do a page of notes, and we got a really stacked up page there, and then some more on the back of that page. Usually it's nowhere near that much, but this one has a lot of cool synergies. So we're hopping into this, starting with the Legendary Tribal cards. So because of the fact this deals 7 damage to each non-legendary creature, you throw in a ton of legendary creatures, and just your board survives it every time Piru blows up. So you can do cards like Arvad the Cursed, Taser Karlov, which also doubles his death trigger, which is nice. Gisela, to make his death trigger do double damage. Oh my god, I can't talk. There's cards like Chainer, Nightmare Adept, and Feldon, which let you get Piru out of your graveyard, pretty much reanimate it every turn. Seems fantastic. Kimball, just decent. There's the Thalias. You got Gerard, which seems actually pretty good, especially if you have some non-legendary stuff in the deck. Elishnorn, just very powerful. Vito can be crazy in this deck because of the fact that Piru has lifelink. And I glossed over that the first time I read this card. The fact that Piru has lifelink is crazy because that means when it dies, it deals 7 damage to each non-legendary creature. You're gaining life for 7 life per creature that's non-legendary on the battlefield. So you can just win the game with cards like Vito. Piru can do insane amounts of damage super fast. This card is crazy. And gain you tons and tons of life. It's so good. Super powerful synergy there. You've got Garna to get Piru back. You can use Queen Marchesa. She seems pretty fun. Both the Mengaras are pretty good. And yeah, you also have Gods because they're indestructible. So, I mean, that's kind of cool. I mean, it wouldn't affect them anyways, but there's some good Gods that you can throw in a deck. Athreos is pretty decent because of the fact that Piru dies. You can get it back pretty easily. Either Athreos is pretty good. You got Bontu as a sacrifice outlet for it. Ereboses and Oketras are both very good. Either Erebos really and the good Oketra is pretty good in this deck. And you got Heliod, specifically actually both Heliods are pretty good in this deck. One of them because of the life gain synergies, and the other one because of token synergies. And you've got stuff like Perforos, which can be pretty good in some of these builds, especially the token build. And yeah, some other legendary creature synergy cards include Primeval's Glorious Rebirth, Urza's Ruinous Blast, and Hero's Podium, Yawgmoth's Vile Offering, and Day of Destiny. All those seem like great includes. And we're going to hop into the next category. The next category is token cards. So a token strategy. First off, Anointed Procession, auto-include in this strategy. The reason why you do a token strategy is because you can make it so that way when Piru dies, you're gaining a ton more life because each of those tokens is getting dealt 7 damage by a life-linking Piru. That thing's pretty powerful. There's some really good synergies with that, and just you can do a lot of aristocrat style stuff too because you're in Mardu colors. So you got for token creators, anointed, secure the waste, assemble the legion. Thalise seems pretty good in this deck, increasing devotion. Elenda the Duskrose seems nuts in this deck. Same thing with Endrick Sar. Bitter Blossom / Dreadhorde Invasion, and Field of the Dead. You're in 3 colors, you'll have a good number of different lands, so that should be able to go off pretty easily. And then you have your Death Trigger cards that seem pretty good, like Pitiless Plunderer. You've got your Blood Artist-esque cards, Bastion of Remembrance being a very good one because it doesn't die to Piru. And you have your Dark Prophecy-esque cards, Dark Prophecy being the best one because it's an enchantment. And yeah, that's what I've got for the token strategy. You're going to want some reanimation in here because Piru has to die for this trigger. So reanimate, animate dead, necromancy, which is actually a really cool one because you can kind of use necromancy to instant speed, get Piru back, and then sack it and get that trigger again. Phyrexian Reclamation is also a very good one. You're going to want a lot of reanimation stuff in this deck. Next up, we got the life gain synergy cards. There's some very powerful cards in this section that I didn't even think about until I realized lifelink. So you got stuff like Cradle of Vitality, Defiant Bloodlord, and Sanguine Bond. Both those are disgusting. Banewitch Coven, good way to get Piru back. Well of Lost Dreams, good card draw outlet. Crested Sunmare, especially if you can give the Crested Sunmare indestructible, then you're going to be creating a lot of horses. And then you got Regna and Krav, who seem pretty good. Regna and Krav seem good in this deck. Sack outlet, token creation, you can sack Piru to Krav. Like, there's some synergies there. And you can also win the game through life gain strategies, like Aetherflux Reservoir, which I don't think is out of the realm of possibility, considering how much damage Piru is going to be dealing. Felidar Sovereign, and Test of Endurance. Those seem great, especially Test of Endurance and Aetherflux, because Felidar would die to Piru. Next up, we're going to talk about a bunch of one-off cards. We got a lot of cards in this section. First off, we got cards like Angelic Renewal, and Kyle. Oh my god. Angelic Renewal and Kaya's Ghost Form. This way, when Piru dies, he comes back. Seems good. Or she. I don't know if Piru's a guy or a girl, but we're just going to go with... I'm just going to say things and we'll see what happens. Burnt Offering is a very cool one, so that way you can do something that I don't remember, but it's a good sacrifice outlet. So when the trigger's on the stack, you can just sack it to Burnt Offering, and instead of it just dying, you can also get a ton of mana. That seems pretty solid. You can also just do that during your turn, like pay the 3, use Burnt Offering during your main phase, and suddenly you have a ton of extra mana, and it pays for that 3. Netherborn Altar, Command Beacon, and Hellkite Courser seem fantastic because of the fact that Piru's going to be dying a lot. So this way you can get out of the command zone for less mana because it's already an expensive commander. So it's going to be important that you can do that. Teferi's Protection, Cosmic Intervention, and Thrilling Encore seem great if you have a lot of non-legendary creatures just to protect your board whenever Piru blows up. You have probably my favorite way to build this deck. You throw in cards with like Brash Taunter, Stuffy Doll, Blazing Sunsteel, Repercussion, and then Boros Reckoner, Mogmaniac, Spiteful Sliver, Spite Main, and True Fire Captain. But a lot of those don't have indestructible, so you can throw in cards like Darksteel Plate, Shadow Spear, Hammer of Nazan, and Indestructibility, so that way they will have indestructible and survive. And if they do, then you'll be able to throw damage around like crazy at your opponents, which is great. Really powerful stuff there. Arc Bond. Choose a creature. Whenever that creature is dealt damage this turn, it deals that much damage to each other creature and player. So it is a way that you can make it so you can hit your opponents. Seems pretty decent. Ragged Veins, Spiteful Shadows are similar. Like they make it so when a creature takes damage, the opponent takes damage. There's Shriveling Rot, which seems like a really interesting include in this deck. You have Soul Link, so you can gain some extra life. There's Toralf seems great because 7 damage is going to kill pretty much everything and have extra damage left over. So this way Toralf can just throw that damage at your opponents. Then you get Toroff also works really well with damage doublers, and so does Piru. Piru with damage doubling is crazy. So cards like Dictated Twin Gods, Gratuitous Violence, not really doubling but Torbrand, and tripling with Fierce Emancipation seem fantastic. Great auto includes right there. You have Lich's Mastery, which seems interesting because of the fact that Piru is going to be dealing so much damage. You'll be able to draw a lot of cards off of this with Lich's Mastery from the Piru lifelink. And that seems like it might be worthwhile. Like, you could get such a big benefit there that you can overcome the downsides. So it could be a very cool include. And you have cards that give your opponents tokens, because if you have something like Toroff in play and you give your opponent a token, then that means you're dealing an extra 6 damage to that opponent when Piru goes off. So cards like Forbidden Orchard, A Crow and Horse, Goblin Spymaster, Clackbridge Troll, and Varchild seem fantastic for this deck. Especially Varchild because it's legendary. Seems like a great include. Next up, we're doing the meme deck. So the meme build, which it's meme because it's going to be harder to pull off, just because a lot of these creatures would die to Piru, and the key is to keep them around. Keep them around after Piru goes off. And this is the Enrage deck. So you're going to have a lot of dinosaurs in this deck, and then other cards that have what would be an Enrage trigger, but it's not keyworded as Enrage. So, like, you've got Bellowing Aegisaur, Frilled Death Spitter, Imperial Ceratops, Needletooth Raptor, Raptor Hatchling, Silverclad Ferocidons, Suncrown Hunters, and Trapjaw Tyrant. And then some of the cards that have Enrage, but it's not labeled as Enrage, you got High Priest of Penance, Kami of the Honored Dead, Kirazov Sangir Pureblood, and then all the cards that I already talked about that are similar to Brash Taunter and Stuffy Doll. Those all seem fantastic in the deck. And the key is to keep them around with cards that give Indestructible to all your creatures. So Boros Charm, Eldrazi's Monument, Akroma's Will, Archangel Avacyn, Angel of Hope, Flawless Maneuver, Lorehold Command, Selfless Glyphweaver, and Selfless Spirit, and Unbreakable Formation are good examples of those cards. You could also use cards like Marauding Raptor, because that'll trigger your Enrage triggers without having to blow everything up. Seems like a good include. And that is what I have for the meme build. And lastly, we've got the In the 99. So I think that Piru could be a good inclusion in a bunch of actually in a bunch of decks. So it would work really well in a Kalia deck because it is a dragon. It works really well in Zurgo because Zurgo, it gives himself indestructible, so this way you can blow up everything that's not Zurgo. Mathis, everything you get bounty counters on, you can blow up, so that seems great. In Sisay/Essica, because both of these decks tend to have a lot of legendary creatures in the deck, especially if it's legendary tribal. Piru would be very good in either of those, especially Sisay, because you can just tutor it into play and then let it blow up as a instant speed thing, so that seems fantastic. And then the last deck is Child of Alara, because Child of Alara is already blowing everything up. This is just repeated effects, so that seems pretty decent. And that is everything I have for Piru the Volatile. Please remember to comment down below, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and check out the giveaway, which will be linked in the description of this video, and that compiled link. I just dropped a bunch of top loaders, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out, everybody.